Morning, good morning. Good morning. Fix my sound. It should be fine. Good morning. Morning. Okay, sound seems to be fine now. Good morning. Good morning. Today's Friday, and I wanted just to wrap up the week by a comment that stood out. I thought I was going to take more comments, but this one I think is going to form the core part of my conversation this morning. And it's a question that I posed this week that asked if at a collective, do Black men believe that they deserve to be loved and genuinely so? I'm going to share a bit where that comment came from in terms of my thought processes that landed me in that particular comment. And this is a conversation. I'm not an expert in this conversation, but I'm just going to pose just a couple of questions to get men and perhaps us as a society of women, and I'm using these labels because I'm trying to align to a gender-specific lingo. I'm still unlearning a lot of things around gender definitions and stuff, so I don't know everything, but I just want us to just pose questions, and I would love men to also ask themselves these questions, and also as a society to also ask ourselves, like, where are these teachings coming from, or where were these teachings that we have adopted that have been posed from one generation to the next? Where were they coming from, and are they true? And are they true, and have they assisted us in terms of how we look at ourselves, how we treat our families, and how we raise the next generation of Black individuals? This is where it's coming from. The question that I posed was, do men, Black men specifically, believe that they are worthy of being loved genuinely? This thought was coming from yesterday. I shared about how my son, I've got a son, he's 2 years of age. He's my first child in my 40s. And I've always noticed how even in social media, in movies and everything, how your children will always love you unconditionally. Your kids will always love you unconditionally. And I think when it comes to love and the different definitions of love, kids children that you've birthed or your children are the only ones that have the ability to love you unconditionally. I say this a lot also at my camps, especially I'm going to make it as an example of teen boys camp. It doesn't matter how angry a teen boy is, in fact, even teen girls, it doesn't matter how angry a teen boy is at their mom, but I've noticed that they will always shield their mom. Always. They will always shield their mom. If there's anything that the mom did that might not have been right in their eyes, they might be angry at it, but they would never show up or bahlekise ngomama wabo to another person. It just doesn't happen. There was one teen boy, to make an example, who was extremely angry at the mom, extremely angry, bitter angry at the mom. And the core of the bitterness was that the mom was enabling the boyfriend and keeping the boyfriend for the longest time, keeping the boyfriend, and the boyfriend was doing the boy harm unbeknown to the mom, or maybe she knew, I don't know. But the boy was just bitterly angry. But when he came to my space, he was reluctant to share exactly why he's so angry, because a big part of who this child is at their core is unconditional love for the mom, a love that seeks to protect them and shield them in everything. It took us a couple of times before we got to the core, because he didn't want to show off or to show up the mom as being a bad person. And he believed if he spoke about the reasons why he was so angry and bitter, people were going to look at the mom in a particular way. So it didn't matter though how angry and broken he is, but at his deepest core, he was still protective of the mom. We see this a lot with girls and absent fathers, where no matter how many times the absent dads reject the kids and blue tick them, but you still find girls thinking maybe he did a mistake and maybe not. So the reason I asked this question yesterday, I had a thought that asked, if Black men understood the power of unconditional love that comes from their kids, will they continue to reject their kids? Or is it because men were taught otherwise and therefore do not believe that they are truly worthy of being loved unconditionally? That's where the thought was coming from. And interestingly enough, someone commented and said that men don't need love at their core, they need respect. And then I was like, that's it. That's it. That's it. This is where it's coming from. Growing up, I used to frequent church a lot. I was born in 1979. I'm not afraid to mention my age. I was born in 1979. I had the first phase of my spiritual awakening when I was around 5, 6 years of age, believe it or not. And it was when I realized that there was a church, and church spoke about a divine deity that is God, and a couple of things there. Of course, there were scary things that also were taught, but that was my first awareness that, oh, who called this deity? And interestingly enough, at home, we were not blocked in terms of searching or exploring spirituality, which was a blessing. So I've been through, church was my biggest base or my base of interest when I was a young child. So I went to a lot of churches, and that's where this teaching of respect, where it was a teaching that was mainly done by preachers preaching in the context of marriage, and teaching their wives to say respect. And I heard it being taught in different forms and different ranges along the time. Ne? And I'm going to say that I disagree with that notion that said men need respect more than anything else. I disagree with that. I think it's completely flawed. And I'm going to make an example why I think it's completely flawed. And I'm going to read from a spiritual text. And I'm not here preaching. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a church-based person. So I'm not preaching. But that comment was coming from that context. So I want to address that context first before I move on to something else. So the reason why I disagree is that there's a text that says, "For love is supreme and must flow through each of these virtues. Love becomes the mark of true maturity." I'm going to read it again. For love is supreme and must flow through each of these different virtues. There are different virtues that I'm going to, you guys will go and read that by yourselves. I'll give you the text later on. Love becomes the mark of true maturity. So, love is supreme. Other texts, different texts or quotation that I came across in my reading throughout my life also say that love is the basics of human needs. Let me see if I read this text that I quoted. All right, it says the need to be loved could be considered one of our most basic and fundamental needs. It's from a philosopher, I'll quote it later on. We know that the desire to love and care for others is a hardwired and deep-seated because of the fulfillment of this desire enhances our happiness levels. So in my understanding, love is supreme, is the most supreme of the spiritual laws and spiritual defining things in this existence. Also, it's one of our basic needs. If we teach men, because men have been taught this by other humans, if we teach men that respect is supreme, we are teaching men to stay in an ego-based form that makes respect supreme. You must also understand that the minute that respect is touched on men, that's where some men become aggro and aggressive. The minute that respect is touched in a particular way, that's how some other men respond in aggressive way. We've seen this in parties, and I spent a lot of my time as beings just observing when I was a child. So I've seen how, and my dad used to do it as well. I've seen how the way to get another man to be aggressive, one man will say to another one, "Uyingwe," because it touches your level of self-esteem, it touches your level of self-respect and self-importance. So the quickest way to start a fight amongst men in a shipping type of context is to belittle the other men by removing that level of respect, either calling them ice boys, either calling them amakhwenkwe kwaXhosa, that one hits even much more deeper, and that's how white men did it too. They call our fathers boys, because it hits that level of self-respect, that level of self-esteem. I want to read something else. Let me just. I'm reading a lot this morning because I wanted to get this right. Respect. So respect has different types of forms, and I wanted to compare how love is supreme. Respect has different type of forms. There is how to show respect. You show respect by listening to others, affirm their opinions, empathize, apologize, and show gratitude and compliment others. That is seen as some form of respect. But I also want to challenge you to say, as much as people are taught that respect is supreme, there's absolutely no way that a person can respect you if they don't love you. Absolutely no way. And I'm saying this in the context where it's been taught the most, and it's around relationship. There's no way that I can respect a man who doesn't love me. And also I don't know how men can stay in this space forever where they deem themselves only worthy of respect and not love. It doesn't make sense to me. If love is supreme, why would you settle for respect, which is a lower bar type of vibration than than love, why would you settle there? And why would you accept ukuthi it is okay for me to receive respect and not receive love? And also, when we look at the overall and the collective side of things, why would we settle for less? Is this not the collective education that has been given down to the Black men to break you down even further, to say to you as Black men, you are not worthy of love, but just respect, which is conditional, because respect is condition that you fit my social. I can, because you can see how men play around with the respect thing, and perhaps maybe that's where it's also partly coming from. You can see how they sometimes material things are thrown there, and even female do that as well, where they respect a man because he's got things. What if I just love you as a basic human condition, to say I love you first, and based on this love and love being supreme, I then respect you, and I then honor you, I then see you, because love is the supreme type of feeling and being. When we love, we treat each other in a particular way because that love is supreme. Questions I'm posing, and I'm opening this conversation, and I know it might not be the first and the last time that I'm starting this conversation. And I know there's a lot of text and there's a lot of teachings that have been given to Black men that said, you need respect first. I disagree. You need love first, because love is supreme. And then, by virtue of you being able to receive that love, you'll be able to give that love to your kids. You can't give that which you do not have. You can't. Uvusi mentioned that this is a reason why fathers can be present in their home but absent, because you don't have love to give. You only have respect. And it's even worse that the way that this is taught, people are taught, men are taught to say you need respect and not love, but you give love to your wife. Where would they give that love from if they do not have it, and all they have as supreme is respect? Where would they give it from? Let me just check comments, because I have not been checking comments. Let me just check comments quickly. Let me check comments. So these are conversations for men, and I appreciate seeing more men comment on these more than ladies, because this is the space that I want to build. So let's question. Can we question these teachings? Love is supreme, guys. Love is supreme. Love is supreme. Love is supreme. Respect is the below bar type of a thing. It is not supreme. Your kids need your love. Your partners, they need your love. Your job needs your love. Your business, it needs your love. It doesn't need your respect. So if we don't hold love as supreme as it is, and as it should be, then we're shortchanging yourself. Also question why, as Black men, as a collective, why is this language much more common in our spaces? And also, what is it doing in terms of our growth and evolution as a Black community? Your kids need your love. They don't need your money. Yes, money is good because it pays for everything, but it is not the highest need. Love is. Then, by virtue of you loving your kids, you then look for ways to provide for your kids. By virtue of you loving them, you then are uncomfortable with not being able to provide for them. The fact that you don't care that your kids are eating or not means that your love, what's the word? Your love bar is not that high. It just means that it's not there. It's just not there. Let me just check comments at my page, because I'm streaming in my page and also my Facebook profile. But this is a comment I'm gonna leave and with you guys to say, let's start the conversation. Let's open up the conversation, and let's see where this conversation is gonna take us. I think men need love too. I think men need love too, and then by virtue of that love, then we're gonna grow as a Black unit, and as a Black family unit. We need love, and I'm here to say love is supreme. Respect is not. Love is supreme. As much as you guys say it's only for women that need that love, I think love is supreme. And I will tell you now, a female that doesn't love you, a female or a woman or a wife that doesn't love you will break down your family in different forms. A person, a woman who doesn't love you, because this is often preached in that context. I see it with kids, where you, as a man, you've got kids from another woman before you get married to this one, and this one doesn't necessarily love you, but you've got things that she needs in order for her own growth to happen. That's that transactional type of relationships. So she doesn't necessarily love you, but you've got things that she needs. What then tends to happen, she cannot stand your kids because she doesn't love you. When love is supreme, I love everything about you, inclusive of whatever baggage you come with. I love everything about you. And because of that love being supreme, I'm able to withstand most things, as long as they're not harmful and abusive to me. But I'm able to love your kids. I'm able to be patient with your kids. I'm able to be patient with with your family. And I'm able to be patient in terms of the needs that my kids have, because the love that is supreme in me says we can go through this together. But if only I have for you is respect, and this respect is driven by the things that you have that I need, what happens when the things that you have go away? What are you left with? We live. We live. So that's my last. I'm going to see if there's any comments. And then this is going to be my last thing. And then we're going to say goodbye. Check comments quickly. Okay. All right. Bye.